Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Wahid Anwar, and in this video, we are going to discuss about risk identification. Okay, so every project faces uncertainty. Some uncertainties can become problems, while other may turn into opportunities. So, risk identification is the process of finding and documenting these possible threats and opportunities before they affect the project. Okay, so think of it like preparing a travel plan. If you know there might be traffic, bad weather, or a shorter alternative route, so you can plan ahead and make better decisions. So, in the same way, identifying risk early helps to the project managers to stay prepared and avoid surprises. Okay, so in this session, we will explore a set of practical and powerful techniques used by project managers around the world. So, these techniques will give you different ways to spot a risk and make sure your project has a clear and safe path forward. Okay, so first, what is project risk identification? So, project risk identification means finding and listing possible problems or opportunities that could impact the project. Okay, so actually, risk identification is the process of systematically recognizing and documenting potential risks, both the positive and negative risk. Okay, so actually, the negative risk means what? The threat, and the positive risk mean opportunities. Okay, so the goal is to create a complete list of possible events or conditions that could affect the project's objectives. By identifying risk early, the project team can prepare appropriate strategies to either minimize threats or maximize opportunities. Okay, so in simple terms, project risk identification means finding and listing all the possible problems or opportunities that may impact the success of the project. Okay, so next we have the brainstorming. Actually, next we will take an overview of the some important techniques which we use to identify the risk. Okay, so first we have here the brainstorming actually is a classic the group creativity technique. So it's all about bringing together a diverse group of the stakeholders, from team members to subject matter experts, to generate a large volume of risk ideas in free forming. And there should be no the judgmental environment. Okay, so the goal is to encourage open communication and capture all the possibilities without immediate criticism or evaluation. Okay, so here you can see we have here the definition. A group creativity technique where team members generate uh, any the as many risk ideas as possible without judgment. So how it works? So gather a diverse project team, use an open, non-judgmental environment, record all ideas without filtering, then prioritize risk later. Okay, so using brainstorming technique, the facilitator guides the group, encouraging every member to contribute any idea that comes to mind. And all the ideas will be recorded, typically on a whiteboard or on sticky notes. So that ideas will be organized and analyzed and later. So this initial unfiltered approach helps to uncover a wide array of potential risk that might be overlooked by a single individual. Okay, so next we have here the example. In a construction project, the team list potential risk like late material delivery, labor strikes, and weather delays. Okay, so you can also understand from this example. So here, next you can see I have added here the reference from the different books. You can check. Okay, so I hope this is clear. So move next. Next we have the Delphi technique. Delphi technique is a more structured method for reaching a consensus among experts. So this approach is particularly useful when dealing with the sensitive or complex topics where direct discussion might be influenced by a dominant personality. Okay, so here we have the definition. So, a structured communication method where experts anonymously provide risk opinions and results are summarized and shared in multiple rounds until consensus is reached. Okay, so how it works, you can see here: select a panel of experts, conduct anonymous surveys or questionnaires, then summarize and share results with the group, then continue round until agreement is reached. Okay, so in Delphi technique, the facilitator distribute questionnaires to a panel of experts, and their response will be collected, summarized, and then redistributed to the panel. So experts review the summarized feedback and can adjust their opinions in subsequent rounds. Okay, so this process continue until consensus is reached, leading to more objective and validated list of the risks. Okay, so here we have the example in an IT project. The cybersecurity experts anonymously identify the potential hacking threats and agree on the top priorities after 3 rounds. Okay, so I hope this is clear. After that, we have number third, SWOT analysis. This is very common technique. So they actually these techniques, I mean to say, SWOT analysis is a strategic planning tool that helps to identify project risk by examining both internal and external factors. Okay, so here we have the definition, a technique for identifying strength. So here you can see the definition, a technique for identifying strength, weakness, opportunities, and threat in project environment. Okay. So next we have how it work. Okay. So let's see how it work. So analyze internal strength and weakness, then examine the external opportunities and threats, discuss how strength can be used to counter threats, then document identify risks from the weakness and threats. Okay, so you will analyze the project's internal environment to identify its strength. For example, experienced team, expert team, skilled worker. Okay, and then weakness. For example, limited budget. Okay, then for the external, you can say the environment. Okay, and for the opportunities, you can say the a new technology. Okay, and threats, for example, market competition, we can add. So by mapping these factors, you can identify risks that stem from the weakness or external threats. Okay, next we have here the example in a marketing project. The team notes a strong social media presents, that will be the strength, and but a lack of budget, that will be weakness, which may be risk campaign reached. Okay, so I hope this is clear. Okay, so next we have number four, checklist. Okay, so actually checklists, is simple yet effective technique that leverages from past experiences. So it involves using a pre-existing list of potential risks compiled from previous similar products within your organization or industry. Okay, so here we have the definition or list of the potential risk based on historical information and experience from the previous products. So how it works? I develop a list from the organizational processes, assets, review each item for applicability. So then add a new risk if found during review. Then update the checklist for future projects. Okay, so first you will review a checklist of known risk which serves as a prompt for your current project. So as you go through the list, you assess while risks are applicable, and you also have the opportunity to add any new risk you identify. So this helps to ensure that you do not miss recurring issues. Okay, so next we have here the example for a road. A construction project, our checklist include risks like land acquisition, delays, equipment breakdown, and regulatory approvals, etc. Okay. So next we have number five, assumption and constraint analysis. Actually, exemption and constraint analysis is a technique that focuses on the underlying beliefs and limitations of your project plan. Okay, so every project is built on a series of assumptions, and if these assumptions prove to be incorrect, so they can become significant risk. Okay, so here we have the definition: identifying risk by evaluating the assumptions and constraints of the project plan. Okay, so how it works, you can see here, list all projects assumptions and constraints, test their validity and potential impact of if false. Okay, so document risk where the uncertainty exists, plan actions to monitor or manage those risks. Okay, so actually you will systematically review all the project assumptions and constraints. Okay, for each one you ask what if this is false. Okay, or you can say what if this change. Okay, so this will help you to pinpoint areas of uncertainty and document them as a potential risk that need to be monitored. Okay, so here we have the example. Our project assumes a supplier can deliver parts in 2 weeks. If wrong, schedule delay may occur. Okay, so I hope this is clear. Okay, so next we have number six, root cause analysis. Okay, so root cause analysis is a problem solving method used to identify the fundamental causes of risk. Rather than just addressing the symptoms, it helps you to find the source of the problem. Okay, so here we have the definition. You can see a method to identify the underlying causes of identified risk. So how it works: define the problem or risks, and then use the cause and effect tools. For example, fishbone diagram. Then trace back to the source of the problem. Then develop the preventive measures. Okay. Okay. So in root cause analysis, once a risk or problem is identified, so you use techniques like the five whys, or you can say cause and effect fishbone diagram to drill down and trace the issues back to its origin. Okay, so by addressing the root cause, you can implement the preventive measures to stop similar risk from the occurring in the future as well. Okay, so here we have the example: a software bug is traced back to inadequate testing procedure. Okay, so at number six, we have interviews. So interviews are, one-on-one or small group discussion with the stakeholders and experts. So this technique provide a personal and in-depth way to gather information and uncover risks that might not, surface in a group setting. Okay, so here we have the definition: structured or semi-structured discussion with the stakeholders or experts to identify potential risks. So how it works: prepare interview questions, then engage key stakeholders and subject matter experts, then document all identified risks, then validate risk with the multiple interviews. Okay, so using this technique, you will prepare structured or semi-structured questions and engage in conversation with the key stakeholders or then individual as well who have valuable knowledge about the project. So this can reveal the personal concerns, unspoken challenges, or you can say the deep insights that are crucial for a comprehensive list. Okay, so here we have the example: interviewing an experienced product engineer reveals potential geological risk in tunneling work. Okay, so next we have number eight: prompt listing, pastel, and TCOP. Actually, pastel stand for political, economic, social, technological, legal, and environmental. Okay, then TCOM stand for technical, environmental, commercial, operational, and political. Okay, so a prompt list are the a fantastic way to ensure you are looking for risk in all the right place. So think of them as a structured sheet. Okay, so this is very good framework, pastel and TCOM. Okay, so actually, both the both the techniques that give you a specific category to guide your thinking. Okay, so here you can see a list of risk categories that can be prompt the identification of the specific risks. Okay, so how it works: you can see choose a framework, pastel or TCOP, etc. Review each category for relevant risks, then document findings for each category, then use as a completeness check. Okay, so first you go through each category on the list and ask what risk could we face in this area. Okay, for example, using pastel, you would consider what political risk might impact your project, uh, such as new government regulations, or you can say what economic risk like inflation. So you need to watch out for. So this approach helps you to systematically explore all the possible risk sources and avoiding missing something important. Okay. So using pastel, our project team identifies the regulatory changes, political, and you can see supply shortage as risk. That supply shortage will be economic. Okay. That next we have number nine: document analysis. So document analysis is exactly what it sounds like. Okay, a deep dive into your project's existing documents. So it's a fundamental technique because it helps you to uncover risk, hidden within the paperwork. Okay, so here we have the definition. You can see here, reviewing the existing documents to uncover possible risk. So how it works: collect key project documents, plan, contract, reports, etc. Then identify gaps, then inconsistencies or missing information, then extract the risk related points, then document risk in the risk register. Okay, so actually you will review the key project documents like your project charter, requirements, contract, and reviews extra reports. Okay, so you will look for any inconsistencies, missing information, or you can say language that is the unclear or vague. So these gaps are, are often signs of the potential risks that need to be addressed before they cause problems. So we will check all the documents of our project, like contract, project charter, reports, etc. Okay. Here we have the example: reviewing a contract reveals unclear payment terms that could cause cash flow problems. Okay, so I hope this is clear from the example. Okay, okay, so let's see next what we have. Number 10, we have lessons learned analysis. Oh, actually, this technique is all about learning from the past to improve the future. Okay, so lesson learned analysis involves reviewing the history of similar products to benefit from their successes and failures. Okay, so lesson learned, you can see reviewing the sorry. So again, let's take overview of the definition here. Reviewing the past project experiences to identify potential risk. Okay. Then how it works, you can see here: gather lessons learned reports from the similar projects, then extract recurring problems or challenges, then translate into the potential risk for the current project, then plan preventive measures. Okay, so you examine the lesson learned reports, project summaries, and even team feedback from the previous project. So you are looking for pattern, what went wrong, and what went right, and why. So by identifying recurring challenges, you can turn them into potential risk for your current projects and proactively plan how to prevent them. Okay, here we have the example. So you can see here our previous IT rollout failed due to the insufficient training. So the current project adds training as a risk control measures. Okay. Okay. So next we have number 11. That is the fault tree analysis. Okay. Fault tree analysis is a powerful tool used in risk and reliability engineering, often for complex systems. So it's a top-down approach, meaning you start with a single bad event or work backward to find its causes. Okay, so here you can see under definition, top down detective and an analytical methods that identifies the potential causes of system failures by mapping fault paths. Okay, so how it works? Define the top level failure. Okay, then break it down into contributing failures using a logic gates. Okay, so identify root cause, then evaluate probability of the occurrence. Okay, so under FTA, I mean for tree analysis technique, you start with the undesirable event, which you place at the top of the tree, and then you work down identifying all the potential the combinations of failure or circumstances that could lead to that event. So it's a visual way to logically trace the path to the problems. Okay, so next we have here the example in an oil refinery, and FTA is conducted to identify how a wall failures, power outage, and the sensor malfunctions could causes a shutdown. Okay, so I hope this is clear. Okay, so next number 12, inventory analysis. Actually, event tree analysis is the contrast to FTA, or you can say fault tree analysis. So, event tree analysis is a forward looking or a bottom up approach. It helps you to understand what could happen after a specific event occurs. So, here we have the definition of forward inductive logic model that maps possible outcomes after an initiating event. So how it works: identify an initiating event, then map possible system responses and branching outcomes, assign probability to each branch, then calculate total event probability. Okay, so first you start with an initial event. From there, you map out a sequence of possible outcomes. So each branch of the tree represent a different path the situation could take, that allowing you to visualize and assess all the potential consequences. So this helps you to understand the various scenario that might unfold. Okay, so next we have the example in a chemical plant. ETA is used to evaluate possible outcomes after a leak, such as the ignition out, containment, or toxic release. Okay. After that, we have number 13, failure modes and effective analysis. So, FMEA, actually, it's called failure modes and effective technique analysis, is a systematic way to identify and evaluate how a process or product might fail, or you can say what the consequences would be. So it helps you to prioritize which risks are most important to fix. So here we have the definition: a systematic method for identifying the potential failure modes, their causes and consequences. So how it works: list the components, then identify possible modes, then assess the severity, occurrence, and detection ratings, then calculate the risk priority, then prioritize action to reduce risk. So you list every step of a process, or every component of a product. For each one, you ask how could it fail. That will be the failure mode, and what would be the impact of if it fails. So that will be the effect, and how likely is to happen. So then you use this information to calculate a risk priority, to determine which risk requires the immediate actions. Okay, so here we have the example. So in an automotive project, FMEA identify a risk to brake system failure, assign a severity scores, and the recommended design changes. Okay. Okay. So next we have number 14, influence diagram. So influence diagram, you can say, are a simple visual way to show how different elements in a project are connected. So they help you to understand the relationship between decisions, uncertainties, and outcomes. Okay, so here we have the definition: graphical representation showing the relationships among decision, uncertainties, and objectives. So how it works: identify key decisions and uncertainties, draw nodes for decision, then chance event, then outcomes, then link the relationships with the arrows, and then use for decision analysis. Okay, so first you draw a diagram with different shapes called nodes, uh, that actually this shape representing the decision, uncertainty, events, and project goals. So arrows connect the nodes to show how they influence the uh, one another. Here you can see in the picture. Okay, so this visual map provides a clear picture of causes and effects. Then it helps you to analyze how your choices or unexpected events might impact the final results. Okay, so next, we have the example of software product use an influence diagram to assess the relationship between hiring more tester and probability of meeting deadlines. Okay. At number 15, we have expert judgment. Okay, so sometimes the best source of information is not a document or a tool. You can say it's a people. Okay, so expert judgment involves consulting with individuals who have a high level of specialized knowledge or experience in a particular area. So next, let's see what we have definition here. So use of the specialized knowledge or training from the experienced individuals to identify risk. So how it works: select the experts with the relevant domain knowledge, then gather input via interviews, workshops, or panels, then document identified risk. Okay, so first, you will select the experts with relevant domains knowledge and gather their inputs. This can be done through interviews, workshops, or informal conversations. So their insights can help you to uncover risks that are not obvious to the rest of the team and provide valuable context based on their real world experience. Okay, so it is very common technique which we use for to identify the risk for our projects. Here we have the example in a bridge construction project. Senior engineers highlight risk like soil settlement and supply chain issues. Okay. At number 16, we have risk breakdown structure. Okay, so risk breakdown structure is a hierarchical framework that organizes risk into categories. So think of it as a family tree for your project's risk. Okay, so here we have the definition here. You can see here a hierarchical representation of potential risk sources, similar to a work breakdown structure but focused on risks. Okay, so how it works: break down risk into categories, subdivide categories into lower level of detailed risk sources, then use as a checklist or guide for risk identification. So first, you will create a structured list starting with the broad risk categories like technical, external, or management risk. Here you can see in a picture we have example. Okay, so then we will break them down into more specific subcategories. So this ensures a systematic and comprehensive search for risk that helps you to cover all the bases without missing any major area of the risk. Okay, so next we have the example here in a construction project. The RBS includes the categories such as design risk, environmental risk, regulatory risk, and safety risk, helping the team identify specific risk under each. So next we have number 17, affinity diagram. So affinity diagram are a visual tool used to organize a large number of ideas. So they are often used right after a brainstorming session to make sense of all the information. So here you can read under definition: a visual tool used to organize and group large number of ideas or risk into related categories. So how it works: collective potential risk from the brainstorming or workshop. Write each idea on the sticky notes. Then we can also use cards. So group similar risk together to identify themes. Then label each group to create categories. Okay. So first you will write each identified risk on a separate sticky note. Then group you move to move the nodes around on a wall or a board, clustering them based on the natural similarities or common themes. So this process helps the team find pattern and create logical categories out of what initially seems like a random collection of the risks or ideas. Okay, so here we have the example during a risk workshop for an IT project risk such as server crash, data breach, and the unauthorized access are grouped under the categories cyber security risk. Okay, so next we have number 18 process flow chart, or you can say system process analysis. So this technique involves creating a visual map of a process to identify potential failure points. So a process flow chart is diagram that shows the step of flow work from start to finish. So under definition, you can read here diametric representation of processes that helps identify potential failure points and risk within flow work. Okay, workflow, or you can say flow work. So how it works: draw the process steps in sequence, then identify input, output, and decision point, then highlight area of bottlenecks, rework, or failure, then analyze where risk may occur in the process. Okay, so first you draw out the entire process, including all the steps, inputs, outputs, and decision points. So by following the flow, you can easily spot areas where bottlenecks, rework, or errors might occur. So these are key areas to document as the potential risk. Okay. So next we have here example in a procurement process flow chart. The approval stage is identified as a potential risk point for delays due to multiple sign-offs. Okay. And next we have number 19. You can say cause and effect diagram. So also called the Ishikawa and Fishbone. Okay. So actually, this tool helps you to systematically explore all the possible causes of a specific risk or problem. So let's see under definition what we have: a visual diagram that identifies the root causes of a risk by categorizing possible sources into branches. Okay, so how it works: define the risk event effect at the head of the fishbone, then identify major categories, for example, people, process, equipment, environment, then brainstorm possible causes under each category, then analyze which cause contribute most to the risk. So first, we will draw a diagram that looks like a fish skeleton. So the head of the fish is the problem or risk. So the bonds, I mean, branching off, representing major categories of causes like people, process, equipment, and environment. Okay, so you often brainstorm and list specific causes under each category to find the root of the problems. Okay, so here we have the example for a manufacturing product. A fishbone diagram is used to identify possible causes of production delays, including manpower shortage, equipment failure, and material delivery issues. Okay. Next, we have number 20 questionnaires and surveys. Actually, it is a simple and effective way to gather information about risk from a wide groups of people, especially if they can't all meet in person. Okay, so the definition, you can see structured tools to collect information from stakeholders about the potential risk. So, how it works: prepare a questionnaires with open and close ended questions about risk, then distribute to the stakeholders, experts, or team members, analyze response to identify common and unique risk. So, first, we will design a set of questions about the potential risk and send it to your our stakeholders. Okay, so the questions can be open-ended. For example, what are your biggest concern? Okay, or you can say multiple choice. With multiple choices, we can also add in questionnaires. Okay, so you then collect and analyze the responses to identify common risk and unique insights from the different individuals. Okay. So next we have example in a healthcare IT project, a survey of the doctors and nurses reveals concerns about system downtime as a potential risk. Okay. Next we have facilitated workshop, or you can say risk workshops. So, risk workshops are a structured grouping meeting where the key people comes together to actively identify and document risk. So, our facilitator guides the session to ensure it is productive and comprehensive. Okay. So, under definition, you can read the structured group session lead by the facilitator to identify and document project risk collaboratively. Okay, so how it works: gather key stakeholders, team members, and subject matter experts. Use brainstorming, checklist, and discussions to identify risk, then document risk in a risk register, then encourage open communication and multiple viewpoints. Okay, so actually, in this technique, the facilitator leads the group through various techniques such as brainstorming and using checklist. So, in a single session, uh, they can have open communication and collaborative atmosphere, encourage everyone to share their perspective, which leads to a more robust and complete list of the project risk. Okay, so here we have the example in an infrastructure project, facilitated workshop with the engineers, contractors, and clients identified risk related to site access and permit and weather delays. Okay, so at number 22, nominal group techniques, or you can say NGT. Actually, NGT is again structured way to ensure that every participant's voice is heard equally. Okay, so it helps to prevent more vocal team members from dominating the risk identification process. So, under definition, you can read a structure group decision making, the methods that encourage equal participants to identify and prioritize project risk. Then, how it works: gather a group of stakeholders and subject matter experts. Each participant silently write down potential risk, then collect and record all risk in a round robin style or without criticism. Then discuss and clarify each identified risk, then rank or vote on the most significant risk for the inclusion in the risk register. So each person first silently writes down their own list of the potential risk. So then uh, in a round robin style, everyone share one idea at a time. So which is recorded for the whole group to see. So after all the ideas are listed and discussed, the group votes or ranks the risks to prioritize the most significant ones. So this process guarantee that every idea is considered. Okay. So example we have here In a construction project, the team lists all the ranks list like the material shortage and safety issue. So, risk identification is the first step to managing uncertainty in projects. So, using techniques like brainstorming, SWOT analysis, expert judgment, and analytical tools helps the team uncover both threats and opportunities. So, no single method is enough. Combining approaches gives a complete picture. So, strong risk identification builds a solid foundation for analysis, planning, and ultimately project success. So, I hope everything is clear. So, thank you so much for watching this video. See you in the next video.